Hi, good afternoon, friends. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, dear. So, as usual, post-dinner sessions, we have very limited presence right now, but I think as we continue, okay. So even our MC is not here. He is also enjoying his lunch. So, my name is Rajesh Jain. I am the managing director and CEO for a brand named Lacoste. I head the India operations. And I have an amazing panel today and a different type of topic. But before we start on that topic, I would like to invite my panelists here. They're amazing guys, very dear friends, all of them. So I would start with Manish Kapoor. He is the CEO for Pepe Jeans. Can we have a big round of applause for him? Next, we have Sanjeev Rao, CEO Being Human. Then we have Shital. Shital is the CEO for Lifestyle. Charath. Charath is the CEO for Indiaretailing. And then we have Saurabh. He is the co-founder and CEO for Latin Quarters. Can we have a big round of applause for all of them, please? Thank you, friends. Thanks for coming here. So I'm sure as we progress further, the hall will start filling in. So, a very interesting topic. So far, we have all been talking about technology, how we can change something in technology to take the brands further, to take the retail forward, to attract the customer. But today, perhaps we are going back to our roots. And we are not talking about technology, although technology is something that creeps in anyway. But that will be a very limited part. The important part we are talking about here today is seasonless launches. We all know as retailers, especially in fashion retail, that we have two main seasons, autumn, winter, and spring, summer. But today we are going to talk about seasonless launches, capsules, and all things related to that. Is it possible? Is it helpful? Is it difficult? And as I said that I have an extremely intelligent panel with me. So, shall we start? So, I will come to that side only. Okay. Saurabh, my first question to you.
Sure.
Seemingly very easy question, at least the first part of it. The second part might take a little difficulty and you will have to really think hard perhaps for that.
Sure.
Very easy question. How many launches do you have in a year?
So first of all, thank you, Rajesh. So the way I mean, that's a very easy answer. We try to launch a capsule every month. And except for the EOSS season, we try to refresh pretty much every month. I think the second part, yeah.
But when you say month, every month, you don't have the two major launches of autumn, winter, and spring, summer like most of the fashion retailers have?
So the answer is yes and no. The way we think about seasons is, I think it's in the Indian context, it hasn't really made a lot of sense to have these set autumn, winter, and spring, summer seasons. I think there's a lot of diversity in India in terms of cultural diversity, in terms of climatic diversity, amongst other diversities. I think India is a country, there's a lot of countries within a country. So every state and pretty much regionally, you find a lot of diversity there. So I don't feel the traditional way of classifying collections really does justice to that. And the way we thought of it is, since we are evenly spread out across the country, there's a lot of festival-based buying. There's a lot of, during winter seasons, you are selling something completely different in north, but when you go down south or when you go into the west, they don't really experience winter in any meaningful way. So it never really made sense to have like the traditional way of having collections. Instead, what we have tried to do is to kind of have a customized product assortment, so during Durga Puja, you have a collection which is going only to East stores. Then you have Pongal, you have Onam, you have all these regional kind of capsules that are going to those particular locations only. Also allows us to be nimble. We are kind of more flexible in that way. You are not, held to some arbitrary cut-off dates that, okay, now EOSS has started and now you are under pressure to give discounts. So I think there is a lot of benefits that at least we have seen over the years in doing that. There are a few operational challenges that you can face when you do that. But I think overall the benefits outweigh whatever costs are associated with that. So we've kind of tried to do that.
That's very interesting because I didn't know that you do monthly capsules and monthly launches. My understanding was that like most slow fashion retailers or slow fashion brands, you also do spring, summer and autumn, winter as major launches and then perhaps you would do some sub launches. But very interesting to know that you're doing monthly launches also.
Right.
You started in 2006.
Yes,
this
we
brand
did,
was started in 2006.
Yes.
So now the difficult part of the question, as per you, with your past experience, how many launches do you think are ideal for a fashion retailer in a year?
I think it really depends on a few factors. I think the primary one being how you are distributed geographically.
So from your brand's perspective.
Right. So from our perspective, like I just explained, since we are trying to cater to a lot of different geographies and cultures at the same time, for us, it makes sense to kind of refresh every month, as opposed to somebody who's maybe, let's say, focused more in the north. So you are experiencing a similar type of climate. I mean, winter, so you have to give winter wear if you want to be relevant. Otherwise, you are not really part of the conversation at that time. So I think it makes more sense to kind of refresh it every month. Like I said, there's benefits associated with that, at least we feel. I think better sell-throughs, maybe potentially better margins. So yeah, that's the way I look at it.
Wonderful. So I actually have a lot of questions, a lot of follow-up questions on that, but because I have other panelists also, I might come back to you later if we have time.
Sure.
I will now go to Charath. Charath, normally, autumn, winter, spring, summer, these kind of two major launches are normally booked for normal hero products or the launches, major launches, or the primary products that you have. But do you think that these sub-launches or capsules, they are meant mainly for those products which are growing, but maybe still haven't reached there? They are like a secondary products which are growing in their journey, and once they become big enough, then you would like to involve them or include them in your primary launches also?
Not really. I think.
You're not visible or audible.
I don't know. Is it audible now?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
audible now.
So I think actually the concept of even for your mainline products, as you call it. So I believe that one of the things about this whole seasonless versus season concept is that there's a difference between brands and retailers. So if you're a brand, one of the things is that you want to try and hold a certain type of a design aesthetic. It doesn't mean you have to be the same every time, but there's a broad design aesthetic that you want to retain. And to that extent, if you want to retain that year after year and develop within that, some pre-planning is required. So
Yeah,
the concept of a loosely put word of a season makes sense to me for a brand. Within that, obviously, you want every month to be something to be highlighted. So that's what you could call the hero product or the hero story. Having said that, even in the main categories, it could be shirts for us or trousers, you definitely want to be agile enough to know that there is trends happening quickly. And therefore, capsules make sense actually in your mainline category itself. Could be to test, could be to try out something small, which is you're not 100% sure, but it makes sense to add it. If it's doing well, you can scale it up. And therefore, capsules have an important role. There's like alongside your main story, there is a very important role for capsules to be had every single, not if not a month at least, whatever is the frequency. For us, we feel the frequency is maybe uh, along the main side, along our main line, twice at least.
Yeah, okay.
At least
so
we
that's what I
feel.
was about to ask you. So in case you're saying that even for the mainline products, you would sometimes bring them as capsules and launch
Absolutely,
them
absolutely.
somewhere between the seasons.
In between. So that is seasonless in the sense that there is no start date or an end date for that. It is something you see and you think that is important enough to start testing the ground with. So you must plan for it, you must launch it, learn from it, and if it is big enough as an idea to expand, look to pilot. So I'm a very big believer in the idea of piloting small, anything, piloting any idea. So capsule is nothing but a pilot for me. So you test it. It could be new idea. It could be extension of an idea. It could be a new category. It could be anything. But the biggest benefits, I believe, come from in your biggest categories to test out new ideas as capsules.
Wonderful. That's a new knowledge. Actually, I'm also getting some new insights here because I was so far under the impression it's only the fast fashion brands, let's say the Zara's or H&M's or bestsellers of the world, who would like to refresh their stores very, very fast and remove the old inventory and launch the fresh inventory. But it appears that even the brands like Latin Quarter or Indian Terrain, they also have launches, sub-launches, capsules, all those things to bring freshness to the stores. And that's amazing. So with this thought, Manish, I would like to ask you a question because you're in a completely different category. When we normally talk about these seasonless launches, capsules, it has a certain degree of immediate responsiveness, efficiency, the customer's likes, dislikes, you understand them and start building towards that. But you are predominantly in a category. Of course, you have all the kind of attire, but your predominant category is denims and trousers. Do you think that these capsules, sub-launches, freshness, efficiency, they also work well in denims and trousers? And if yes, how do you do it? Because that will be interesting to understand.
Sure. So, as you rightly said, so what the reality is that as in while we are predominantly bottom wear, 45% of our business comes from top wear, and then you need to keep doing that on top wear for sure. But again, when you look at bottom wear, and especially when you talk of denim, when you look at a jeans as in one of the most important thing or the first thing that any consumer looks at is the fit. Okay, and whether you look at menswear and more pronounced in ladies, the same fit as in just doesn't keep going on and on season. So capsules or as in what we call as quick response drops become very, very important whenever you're looking at trying out a new fit. That becomes very important because that's how you know as in terms of is there something that you need to change going forward? Is there a new trend that's happening that you need to catch on to? So if you look at it, we're still in this world, especially in India, wherein skinny is very big, but if you look at the West, wider fits are becoming big. So we saw a trend that's happening across the world. 18 months back, we did something mid-season in terms of trying out with 4 products. It worked, and then today, if I look at it, 40% of the business in North is coming from straighter or looser fits. So it becomes and again, also understand that within denim also, it's not just about a blue indigo denim, as in you also have colors and variations and a lot of wash techniques that keep changing. It's very important to test them out through these capsule collections. Again, when you look at bottom wear, as in think of it as in there is this whole news or as in what should I say, consensus that's building in terms of wherein people are saying that denim is slowing. The reality is that denim has changed form. So if you look at it, denim is not slowing. probably the streetwear part of the denim is slowing, but the workwear is increasing. Again, you look at cargos are becoming big, so denim cargos are becoming big. So all these are trends that you need to look at, as in test them out through capsules, and then if they work, as in make them bigger. So that's how, as in it works on the bottom wear, especially denim category.
But very interesting. Just want to understand one. Maybe it's a trade secret for you, but would like to understand it. And that is if you can explain it to us. You said when the fits change, you would be able to respond to it and change those fits accordingly. What is your normal response time for if you find a new trend in the market?
So effectively, as in, especially on denim, and see again, the good part with denim is that if you look at a wash or a fit, as in you can change it just before production. So effectively, from a time wherein you decide, okay, so you hold the fabric and you say that I want to change it into this, effectively you can have it on shelf on 45 days. Our quick response system today, we are able to deliver from effectively concept to on floor in 65 days. So I think what we have also realized is that denim, while as in it's a difficult category, but as in it has this sort of a flexibility wherein you are able to make changes during the production process, during the value chain, which effectively makes it easier for us to respond quickly in terms of any changes that we see in the market.
And you have your own factories?
We work 100% with our contract manufacturers.
And despite that, you are able to churn out the new fits, etc., within a period of 45 days and even launch it in the stores?
Yes.
That's amazing speed. Coming to you, Sanjeev. I would ask you a difficult question, which perhaps would summarize everybody who has just explained a lot of things about their business, which is, what kind of challenges do you think could be there in this seasonless approach for not so fast fashion? And do you think that there are abilities or there are ways where you can mitigate those challenges?
So Rajesh, challenges are definitely there. I mean, specifically for our brand, which is a very fast fashion, we basically cater to the Gen Z and the millennial. So what happens is, you suddenly get to see that there are new fits which are coming in, there are new designs which are coming in, there are certain things that you need to do. Otherwise, you kind of go off, or maybe that's an opportunity which is lost. So I would rather say that, we also follow the similar pattern that everybody else in retail follows, which is the autumn, winter, spring, summer. But the fact that we control very well is the fact that, the number of capsules that we do based on these trends. So what we catch on is to the trends, and we work on the trends and drop the capsules. And as rightly everybody said that, if those capsules work for us, then it becomes a part of our main line. Right. So we have done many such in the past, and what I feel is the difficulties that we face in today's date is, the time to react to these changes.
Precisely the question I had in mind.
So the time taken to react is, one has to be extremely nimble. So, for us, we are not dependent on any international, approvals or anything of that sort. We have a pretty tight team, and we basically do the trend forecast, let's say for this month, and we say, okay, this is what moves in online and we must try this out. So we drop about 4 to 5 capsules literally every 8 months into the online channel, and we try that.
This is in addition to your major launches of spring, summer and autumn, winter.
Yes.
I'd just like to hold you there. You also are present in different countries, in fact,
Yes.
From Middle East to India to Australia and to Canada.
Yeah.
How do you manage this kind of seasonless launches in those places, if at all you do that?
Yeah, so I'll tell you, see, for us, when you want to go international, it sounds very nice. But the larger part of it is that, you have to understand that there are differences in color preference, there are differences in fits, sizing. For example,
country to country?
Yeah, so for example, in India, if somebody who uses a medium, so a medium in Canada is actually XL. Because if you see the size of people there, they are tall and they are huge. So we need to build like that. So even when we do capsules for those countries, we'll have to work in those ways. Initially, we thought, our winter wear will work there in the autumn season at least. But we realized that people do not buy winter wear for autumn. They straight away go and buy deep winters. So that is how we then moved quickly towards deep winter. In deep winter, my team came and told me, let's do all the colors that we do in India. But no, that didn't work. What works there is black, dark blue, bottle green. This is what works there as a color.
So I would just like to stop you here and come back to my original question, having these different scenarios, different countries, different thought process, different fits. Despite that, if you are able to manage that seasonless launch or capsule launch, there I'm sure that you would have more difficulties as compared to other brands who are operating only in India. Of course, India is also several markets merged into one country, but having different countries altogether with different scenarios, there it would become perhaps more difficult. What kind of difficulties, what kind of challenges do you face there? And how do you mitigate those challenges?
Yeah.
I'm talking about the multi-country scenario.
Yeah. So today, just to take it a little further, as you said, that I take a little time, but yeah. So the point is that, when we launch something in India, I know very well that in South India, checks work. Check shirts sell in South India. But I can't think like that for Canada. Because if I think about Dubai, Dubai still works for us, what we do in India. Bangladesh still works, what we do in India. If I'm looking at Sri Lanka, it works in India. But specifically, if you're talking about markets like Canada and stuff like that, but there it's very difficult for us. And therefore, we have in our design team itself, we have absolutely a separate thought process and a team which only sits and works on that. So yes, it is tough. It is not easy. If a master franchisee is sitting in there and is dependent on what you're basically sending him basis the trend forecast that he sends, if it doesn't sell, he doesn't order any more with you. So we have to make sure that it sells. We have to make sure that our capsules work. And if the capsule is working, then it becomes a regular affair going forward with those countries.
Perfect. Thank you. Shital, I intentionally kept the last question for you from this first round. If time permits, then we'll go further, which I don't think is the case. But you work in a completely different environment. It's a multi-brand environment, large format, and you don't necessarily have control on all the brands that are there in lifestyle with you. In your view, do you think that this seasonless launches, capsules, they work or they are good for the customer base that attract customers? How do you manage all these things?
Yeah. I think, Rajesh, let me answer this because I'm an extremely strong believer in this concept of seasonless. And it is, in fact,
Could you please bring the mic closer to you?
more than probably lifestyle. Let me give an example from Max Fashions. We have 500 odd stores. We sell almost 10 million garments a month. And we have truly moved into, in fact, if you walk into the store nearby and even speak to the store manager, there is no language called spring, summer, autumn, winter. There's no such language. In fact, he will tell you that right now the S5 is running. So in our style codes, in our company's vocabulary, the seasons like spring, summer, everything has been long buried. And we're not talking about capsule launches and drops, etc. This is about every single month, wholesale transformation of the store. Every store, every month getting a new planogram, windows, cluster looks, collections, and the store needs to be set up in the first week of the month. And in fact, in the middle of the month, you do a refresh. So it's a deeply embedded concept. And I think it works like a magic if you do wholeheartedly. Benefits are very, very apparent. First is, instead of working probably 6-7 months out, the fashion cycles are becoming shorter and shorter, and our ability to react by working 3 to 4 months. And therefore, your ability to raise your fashion quotient in your store goes up. So customers are able to get latest trends, fits, silhouettes, etc., etc., and it directly reflects into your full price sell-throughs. And from where we started off 70-75%, now we are nearing early 80s as our full price sell-throughs, and it's a direct benefit of this. Second, and also the buyers, designers are able to express themselves much more, Second is, at a time where the demand is volatile, it keeps fluctuating, your ability to take a call so close to the season allows you to plan well, keep your inventories under control, and I'm sure the finance folks will love it, So therefore, your inventory turns are much higher. And for us, how do we keep inventories, system inventory, including the DC or pipeline inflow, in 2-digit is a task. And third is customer loves it because customer is getting fashionable product, which is much more fresher because every month you walk into the store looks a bit different. And therefore, customers also love it. So I think the benefits are immense. However, the word of caution is that you can't do this half-heartedly because I've heard, and no offense meant, but I think lots of people use seasonless in a very, sort of a different ways, So I'm not talking about launching some collections or some drops, etc., but truly operating that way, where right from the back end, which is the way the design works, and therefore it's not about that designer will work for, spring, summer, and therefore you create capsules and supply them differently. This is about design working 12 times a year. Design presentations end to end, buying activity, the trade shows, whatever you have systems, everything at the back end working 12 times over, going right down to the store where the store gets overhauled with a completely new planogram. I mean, April planogram is gone. Every product where it was there in April and where it will be in May, because some products, I don't mean just because you have 12 months, every product is meant to sell out in 30 days. You may have 60 days product or even 75 days product. But where will it go after a month? It moves in the store. So the entire orchestration needs to be done. So if you do this wholeheartedly, end to end, from the back end to the front end, I think benefits are absolutely amazing. It's just this journey has just started, but I think more and more people will adapt this, given the inherent benefits which are visible, low inventory sort of a cover, much higher full price sell-throughs, and even your vendor systems. Almost 12 months you're able to feed them. And you don't have to think, oh, I committed 8 months back and now the sales are down or up, I need to change it. Because you're working only 3 months or maximum 4 months out, you're going to be much more accurate and continuous pipeline for the vendor. So even the vendor finds this extremely efficient way of working.
Amazing. Very interesting. I have only 4.5 minutes left now, and I have two options: either to throw the session open for the audience to ask question or ask one question from you guys. So if audience has any question, that's the first preference. Audience, any questions from any of the panelists, please raise your hand. Otherwise, yeah, please. Can we give him a mic, please? Could you please introduce yourself first?
Hi, Manigandan from Tirupur, doing baby garments. But my question is, in India, usually...
From whom? Who do you want to ask the question?
It's open to all.
Okay.
Because the fashion comes from Mumbai and then it goes to even Kerala earlier. Now we are doing tier 2, tier 3 also. How the fashion changes from you launch the product? How you take the reaction when it's launching good or not?
From the launches perspective, you're saying?
Yes. How the fashion changes from state to state, how the decision will be.
Okay, so I think all of them are national retailers, so they should be able to answer
if
that.
I were
How
to
do
sort
you-
of just...
How do you address the state to state changes in terms of launches?
I mean, I'm sure other panelists can also add to it, but my first answer is from what I see is increasingly those differences are vanishing. Leave alone what is there in West or South or Tier 1 or Tier 2, but even what is there in Europe and what is there in India, that itself we are seeing things are merging, and particularly in last 3, 4, 5 years post-COVID, post-advent of online, and particularly if you have a younger clientele, I think there are differences are only reducing. That said, one of the tool which we do for a variety of reasons, what we call a test and invest. So if I have 500 stores, some new things we have to try out. We try out, let's say, based on various things, 6 different type of stores. We pick up the 10 stores in each category and launch a product in 60 different unique stores and learn when it is at a pilot stage that this really cutting edge fashion, is it going to work in A, B, C, D, E, F? All categories, launch it 10-10. And then if the trend works only in the top 3, then when we roll out only in the 3 segments. If it works only in the top segment, then we reduce it to only top 100 stores. If it works everywhere, then we sort of go for a mass national rollout. So test and invest kind of a model also we have developed, which allows us to sort of gauge the response before a rapid rollout.
Can't hear you. Can't hear you. Do you have the mic with you?
If you get the positive result only in 50%, whether you will do the production only the 50% of the quantity and merchandise to those stores alone, or you will do it?
Yes. So as I'm saying, we have, let's say for a 500 store network, we have 6 category of store. So if it is a latest fashion, earlier what we used to do it, launch it only in the top store. Now we don't know whether that was the right decision, because our belief is increasingly that fashion is getting adopted by much larger number of store than the buyer thinks. So now what we do is we pick 10 A category store, 10 B category store, 10 C category store, likewise D, E and F, launch it in 60 stores simultaneously and then gauge the response. If it works in all, then we go for all 500 store. If it works only in A, B and C, then we go only for, let's say, 250 store or 300 store. So we gauge the response by launching product in each category of store when it is at pilot stage and not only in the top store. Because if you do that, you will never know whether would it have worked. And I was giving an example during the lunch to Charath that, I mean, for example, a couple of years back, I mean, this oversized came and we were hesitant. But through this model, we realized actually right down to the last store in the smallest town, there is a huge requirement for oversized tees. And today, for our, let's say, young men, which is almost 70% of business, almost 70% of knit tops which we sell in our store is oversized. But we wouldn't have caught that if we had not launched the product in the bottom store also as a pilot.
But at the same time, just to add to this, Shital, just want to ask you, one, you are categorizing the stores into A, B, C, D, etc. But don't you change those or don't you customize those depending upon the weather condition? Let's say, suppose if something is being launched in the north, that may or may not work in the south. So do you differentiate in the merchandise?
This ABC includes all possible things, your sales, your fashion adoption, your regional things. So this categorization captures all of that and not just the
And the
sales
merchandise could vary from A store in north to the B store in south. Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Sorry, one more question.
Sorry, if any other question or is there anybody else who wants to ask any question? Okay, already the time is up. If it is really urgent, then you can ask. Otherwise, you can take it offline.
Sorry. In case of online, which is a best-selling product, we will keep on repeating the same design and print once it get reduced. But in case of offline, it's not like that. Even though it's a best-selling product, the same product is not going to merchandise in the next production. It happens regularly. Why it is not? Why you can refill the best-selling products now? Just.
So anybody wants to take that question?
Thank you.
No, it's not true. Actually, we do that. We have a mechanism by which we measure what we call 15-day rate of sale. And we have a red, amber, green system. So sometimes we capture at within 15 days of launch, something is selling much higher than what even we had anticipated. We know that we're going to run out of it. We end up quickly auto-triggering a repeat of exactly the same design. The challenge obviously is getting it within a short period of time. So that means you have to go back and rejig, like Shital mentioned, your entire supply chain cycle to then figure out how are you going to be able to respond to that quick turnaround. And that is the difference between the ability to make sure that you can stretch the length of a design. So that we are a little advantageous because we have some part of our manufacturing integrated. So we are able to work, but a lot of it is working back all the way back with your partners to make them understand why it is important to turn
Thank you, gentlemen. Very interesting to know that it's not only tech that is driving or attracting the customers to the stores, and whether it is online store or offline store, it is also the age-old merchandise that you are bringing freshness every now and then. It's not limited to only spring, summer, and autumn, winter. You have capsules, you have sub-launches, and that brings the customers again and again to your stores. Very interesting to know, and I congratulate all of you and wish all the very best to all of you. Thank you very much.